Hey, Mortgage Coach community, Dave Savage. I am traveling today. I'm actually at the Silverado Trail in Napa, California. I've got Mr. Josh Mettle as today's guest. What's up, Josh?
Good morning. How are you, Dave?
Doing good, doing good. So I've interviewed you a lot. I don't think you need too much of an introduction, but I am going to ask you to still introduce yourself in a minute. First, I want to set the table. So Josh put a post on Facebook last week, and I've interviewed Josh a lot of times. As a mortgage coach, why are you so successful? How are you so successful? But you put a post that just, it started with do the work. And then, whether people are criticizing you, whether, you're getting good feedback, all these reasons, do it despite this adversity. And then it had a whole lot of other, stay hopeful, stay positive, stay grateful. I posted on Facebook, got a lot of engagement. I personally have read it multiple times because it's such a great reminder. And I do think that, while I have some talents, I also have some faults and some, flaws. But doing the work isn't one of my weaknesses. It's always been, a strength. Do the work. And so, great message, brother. Appreciate the leadership. And I thought, let's get on a call and just talk about that. So if you could, one, tell everybody where you're at, a little bit about yourself, and then let's talk about doing the work and what you think about that quote and why you posted it to begin with.
Sure. So Josh, Salt Lake City, Utah, regional manager, branch manager, loan officer for Fairway. This post, if I remember correctly, I actually stole this from Steve Jacobson and reposted it because, it hit me. The reason it hit me is because I've made my first mortgage change in 13 years. So I've been in another company for 13 years, made my first change. And when you start that snowball, if you will, again, from a really, really small little snowball, and you kind of have to push it uphill until it gets some momentum, it's a lot of work. And it made me think, it made me think about all of the new folks into our industry. And do they really realize, the 20-year-olds getting into this industry, do they really realize that all the work and all of the pain and all the people telling you it's not going to work out and all of the critics and everybody saying, just go get an hourly job, Dave. I mean,
Yeah, right.
come on, or just go do this piece of education, that if you just persevere through that and you have one of those days that's painful and you just go, okay, good, check another one of those painful days off because the awesome days are really, really close if I know I'm having painful days like this. And I was reminded of that. I was reminded of that as I started again. I wouldn't say from scratch, but
Right.
I took all of my intention and my focus off of originating, off of creating business. And I focused everything on structure. Okay, are people in the right place? Is the building working? Do we have furniture? And then I turned around and went, oh, there's no business.
Right.
I got to go do the work. And there was 6 months of doing the work that was really not all that rewarding because you're doing a lot of work and you're not getting much back. And I just hit this place in the summer where, we're going to break a record this month. June 2017 will be our biggest month in the history of our group. But it took 8 months to get here. And there were a lot of painful days. And when I saw this post, I thought, that's the message that anybody going through a hard time or anybody that's new in our industry, that's what they need to see.
So a couple thoughts. So one, what's your record? What are you going to break? How much volume?
I don't want to jinx myself, so I'm not gonna answer that question. But
What's
I will
the goal?
tell you
What's the goal?
the goal is 50 million for the group.
Boom. Massive volume. So, it's interesting. I didn't know that you kind of wrote it for millennials or people new into the business. I didn't know that until just now. All I can tell you is I don't think it's just for millennials. I think it's for everybody. Because, everybody needs to be reminded, if people are criticizing you, show up and do the work. If no one's noticing you, show up and do the work. And then, even if we're in a good zone where we don't need this reminder personally, we always need the leadership, for our kids. We always need the leadership for our team. We always have people in our life that aren't playing at this level. And again, I know you crush it, Josh. I remember when I first heard about you. I can't remember how early you were waking up in the morning. I want to say it was like 2 or 3.
That's close.
It was something like stupid, just like, because I've always prided myself, first guy up, And I'm like, wait, there's someone getting up and getting after it before me. Wait a minute. I'm gonna beat that guy, and then I tried it for a week, and I'm like, you know what? There is someone who has more energy than me in the world. 'Cause I'm just gonna have to deal with the fact that someone can work harder than me, because it wouldn't have worked. It wasn't sustainable for me. Uh, so Josh, tell me. I've told you I posted it. I've gotten after it more. I've shared it with a few people. My wife even loved it. Lots of times I share things to my wife and she's like, okay, Dave. You know, but everybody that's touched this quote really likes it. By the way, everyone, I'm going to put it below. So you're watching this in
YouTube.
YouTube. In the description below, we'll have the quote. So read it, post it, share it. Any other things that have come from you that you've had as a result of reading it, sharing it, or any other intentions you have using this whole, I don't know what it's, a mantra with other folks? Anything else come to mind?
Well, as we were talking about putting this little YouTube together, two things came to mind. First of all, as I was reading this, I thought back to Darren Hardy's chapter in his book where he talks about Big Mo, which is momentum, and how hard it is to get the merry-go-round to go when it's loaded up with kids and you're 6 years old. You really got to push that merry-go-round hard for a long time. And then before you know it, the merry-go-round is like carrying you, right? And you're holding on to the merry-go-round for life. That resonated with me, and I think this is very much that fact. It's hard, and don't give up. And then one more thing that I was thinking of, Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich has this great chapter about perseverance. Also, Andy Andrews' new book, The Little Things, has a great chapter on not quitting. And their parallel is that both of them tell stories of right when the pain, when the affliction is absolutely at its worst, and most people give up, that's God or that's the universe testing you, and can you get through to that next piece? And so I think this just kind of brought all of that together for me.
I love that. Well, I mean, two of my all-time favorite hashtags are never give up, never outworked. And super blessed that I've got a young son who lives by those standards, and always love sharing that and just evangelizing those two values. So one last thought from a mortgage coach perspective, everyone who's watching this, if you're a mortgage coach loan officer, if you're a mortgage coach manager, when it comes to building the habit of delivering a total cost analysis to every single family, one, never give up, like stick with it. And then when I think of the excuses I hear when it comes to using total cost analysis, I hear people say, "Oh, it takes too long, it's too hard." By the way, Josh, I can remember a day when you called me and said, "Dave, one, I'm giving up, and two, it takes me too long," which is code for it's too hard.
Well, don't forget three, which I don't see any value in the total cost analysis. So I had the trifecta of wrongness.
Yeah. And by the way, the only way I even got you past that pain point, which I think was around, you were like 7 TCAs, is I said, "Josh, you committed to me to doing 20. Like when we started this, I said 20 is the number. Why don't we do this? One, I'm going to put more love into you. We'll have a trainer train you. And two, get to 20, and then let's see how this conversation goes." And, obviously, here you are, 1,000 total cost analysis later. But what was the number when it just clicked and you saw the value and it actually became easier and improved your workflow? What was that?
As funny as you just asked that question, I literally think it was like 9 or 10. Like I was so close to giving up at that moment. I was like, screw it. I don't get it. And I think like 2 later, first I started to figure out how to do it a little quicker. But I had a client come back and like forward it to his CPA, and he was like, "This is the most amazing thing ever." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah."
Yeah. So it got easier. You had feedback, and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to make more money," and it's just getting easier all the time. So anyway, that's funny. By the way, everyone who's listening to this, I did an interview. I think one of the all-time best interviews I've ever done. It was called Price to Advice with Josh Mettle. It was about 6 months later, so it was, I don't think you were at 500 total cost analysis, but like 300 TCAs into where our relationship is now. And so check that out. I'll put it below. So if you like this rant that Josh and I just had, like it and share it. Let's play it forward. Thank you, Steve Jacobson. No shock that Steve would resonate with this quote. You know, he embodies this. Anyways, share it. Let's get the word out. And Josh, I always appreciate you, bro. Thanks for making time.
Yeah, my pleasure, brother. Great to see you.
All right,
Cheers.
Great seeing you.